All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here on 4:30 on a Monday afternoon, our first day of conference. You're all troopers, we appreciate that. My name is David Bjormenberg. I'm a security architect at Microsoft. I'm responsible for partners' ability to use our SMB security. So I work in the Center of Excellence for Microsoft 365, and a lot of my work is involves developing training, hands-on labs, speaking to you folks at presentations like this. And with me today is one of our partners, Alex Fields with Success Computing. And yes. I'd like a round of applause. Alex just received his MVP, so he's a brand new MVP.
Thanks. I guess they hand these out to just anyone these days. Open season on the MVP award. Success Computer Consulting is a managed services provider and managed security services provider for small to mid-sized organizations. We serve, by and large, organizations in the SMB market, which Microsoft looks at as about 300 users or less. That's what this Microsoft 365 Business SKU applies to. And that would account for probably 90% of our clients. So.
Right. Thank you, Alex.
Yep.
So today we're here to talk about Microsoft 365 Business. Quick show of hands, who has actually configured Microsoft 365B in production? Okay. Other show of hands, who has not? Okay, good. A mix of both here. So before we get going into the technical side of this, I want to talk about why we created Microsoft 365 Business. You can see, some of these stories that came from a recent research project we did. Unfortunately, we live in a day and time where virus and malware attacks are pretty common, and they're especially common in SMB. I don't want this to be the session about stats and feeds. We have all that marketing material. But these are just a few examples we collected. The top row are our fortunate ones. The bottom are not so fortunate. Barry got hit with a ransomware attack. They're able to kill it pretty quickly. Dave gave us one of the most significant losses in SMB I've ever heard of. We typically hear of losses in the 40K range, but 1.9 million was pretty significant. And this is why, SMBs are being hit with phishing and ransomware. Many SMBs are struggling with their ability to combat these threats. So we created Microsoft 365 Business to provide all the security necessary to combat not just cyber threats like the ones here on this screen, the email and the ransomware, but also help move customers to a more secure environment with regards to the information protection and the device management and so forth. And we wanted to do this fairly simply. We found that for many SMBs, they're confused by the security marketplace. They're confused. They seem overwhelmed by the frameworks out there. So part of the purpose of M365 Business is to basically bring the SMB appropriate or equivalent of our Enterprise E3, so Microsoft Enterprise E3 to SMBs. So this is not E3, but it's kind of where we designed from.
And so when I was a kid, my dad used to have this saying that he would use with me. He would say, "Son, when you pick up one end of the stick, you also pick up the other end." And he usually said that because I had done something really dumb, and it was a way of saying, you're not going to get out of the consequences of said dumb thing. But we're kind of in a situation now where we have this consequence stick, right? We've picked up one end of the stick, which is we're already living in this modern era. Your users are already adopting cloud-first, mobile-first technology, so the expectations have shifted, right? In the past, you would look at mobility and you think okay, work primarily happens at the office. My devices that I use are primarily connected to that office infrastructure. The expectation today with mobility is that you can work anywhere. And the device that you're using, it could be a corporate device or it could be a bring your own device, right? It could be a personal device. The expectation is that experience that you have is the same everywhere. It doesn't matter if you're sitting at home or sitting in the corporate office, you should have the same experience. Likewise, because of this shift, we can't really rely on a perimeter-based security model anymore. There's a lot of literature out there. We're shifting more to this identity-based model of security. And in addition to that, collaboration has just become more effective, right, and more efficient because people started adopting apps like Dropbox, for instance, when IT struggled to provide them ways of sharing large files or sharing files where they could collaborate and co-author with people and so forth. So Microsoft 365 obviously is built to live in this more modern world, And the idea is that we don't really have a choice. We have to kind of move into that modern paradigm now. So whether you decide to solve it with Microsoft tools or some other tools, you need to be thinking in terms of modern.
So I want to talk a little bit about what is Microsoft 365 Business for those that are unaware. So just real quickly, around 365 Business, we have three key pillars with regard to security. One is to help customers defend against cyber threats. This is knocking out the phishing, malware, ransomware, identity, credential theft, that sort of thing. The second second pillar is protecting business data. And this is a bit new for a lot of SMBs. A lot of SMBs I've worked with have typically not put a lot of control around who has information or who has access to data. They typically don't have a lot of control around employees who leave the company who may still have access to old email, old files, customer lists, that sort of thing. So this is a key pillar we have in the product. And those two things do not work very well if we're not managing devices. If any device available can attach to the data or the network, you're not really defending against cyber threats. You're not really protecting business data. So we have a full complement of device management capabilities. Below, I've listed some of the features. We have full Intune. Microsoft 365 Business, if you're not aware, includes all the licensing required for Windows Virtual Desktop. This isn't a WVD session, but I just wanted to point that out. If you're interested, you can fully deploy virtual desktops in the cloud with just a few clicks to get virtual desktop experience, and it allows organizations to not only have their desktops in the cloud, but then they can ring fence the data or apply additional measures to protect the data that those desktops access. So we have a layered approach to security, really to address 5 things. We have to deal with the users. There's typical things that impact users with regard to security or compromised logins. People are phished all the time, and their logins are not being used by the actual people they're supposed to be. People use the same passwords everywhere. People connect from suspicious locations. On the device side, we're trying to address the malware, the ransomware that's out there, unmanaged devices, as well as devices with weak pins, weak passwords that basically anybody can access. On the application side, we're addressing, in fact, people use personal apps everywhere, both on their work machines and their personal machines. We really do need to evolve to the concept of people working in a work context that is separate from and distinct from personal context. So they may be using the same device, but we need to help put controls in place to prevent people from copying sensitive business information, whether it's sales lists, sales orders, customer data, et cetera, into personal apps and personal email. This could be, someone's excited about a recent product launch. We don't want people to be able to copy a product launch announcement out of Teams, for example, and paste it into their personal email and send it off to an attractive reporter to give him or her the scoop. Unsanctioned apps are all over the place. We're trying to do something about that. As far as email, the same problems that have been plaguing for a while still persist. We have malware, phishing, gross oversharing, and lack of control with regard to email that's unmanaged. And on the document side, we're trying to address the fact that documents do need to be protected internally. They need to retain protection when they're shared externally with partners and vendors and customers. We want to ensure that only authorized people have access to documents. We want to make sure that we have, retain control when employees depart the organization. So this is our problem space. And then with Microsoft 365 Business, we're applying security policies to each of these areas. And so I'm going to list here some of the controls. So on the identity security side, we give full Azure MFA. We give people the ability to do self-service password reset, password write back on premises. Conditional access is brand new, and we're going to talk more about that in the how section of today's presentation. Device security side, we have best-in-class Defender AV. Quick show of hands, who uses Defender today? Okay, Microsoft conference, I forgot. So most of the folks here should at least be aware, Defender has got top-notch as far as AV test and third-party scores now. So it's a very different story today than it was 18 months ago. All the devices are managed in the cloud. We're delivering the ability to remote wipe, BitLocker encryption, baseline security policies, and all the other types of stuff that people generally need on their devices, such as VPN profiles, Wi-Fi profiles, that kind of thing. On the application security side, we actually have Windows information protection available, fully managed by the cloud. Again, we'll show you a little bit of this, where we can actually ship apps that both understand a work context and a personal context. So in my example of someone copying a product announcement, Teams is smart enough to know if it's working in a work context. And the device, if it's managed by Microsoft 365 Business, is informed that, say, someone's personal email is not work and is personal. The content's encrypted, and users don't have to fiddle with encryption policies, but they're unable to cross these two boundaries if it's set up properly. So corporate data cannot be pasted into personal email, personal apps, even if they're on the same device, which is really, really, really cool. We have Windows Virtual Desktop again. On email, we are delivering full enterprise-grade advanced threat protection to protect against phishing emails. Malware, we can detonate malware in the cloud and apply safe links policies. There's a ton of talk about ATP, so I don't want to cover that in this session today. I just want to make sure everyone's aware it's there. We have full DLP, AIP, et cetera, on email, as well as the documentation. So the full stack you would get in Enterprise E3 along these lines is included in Microsoft 365 Business. It's not any different. And some people, including even down to the app level, so the Office apps for Microsoft 365 Business, they fully work with DLP. AIP fully works in the clients as well.
And I just want to really quickly add here too, because one of the really interesting and compelling things, I think, especially for the SMB market, is that you don't necessarily have to apply all of these all the way across the board, right? And so one of the main things that I usually present to customers is this ability to choose between device-level security and application-level security. And the reason that that's the case is that you can basically, especially when it comes to mobility, right, with mobile devices, you can solve a lot of the same problems just in different ways using MAM, or mobile application-based management, versus MDM, a traditional MDM, where you're managing at the device level. So instead of requiring a PIN to encrypt the device, I'll require a PIN to encrypt the app data only. I can remotely wipe a device, or I can remotely wipe just the app data. And SMB customers generally really like that because you can pull back corporate data without touching anything else on the phone, and it also gives them that sense that you're not really playing like Big Brother on their phone or anything like that, because they are very personal devices.
Yeah, that's a very good point. There's a lot of stuff here, and I put this slide together to kind of show the breadth and depth that we have in the product. But especially with regard to MDM and MAM, most SMBs don't want to have like a really heavyweight management solution. They may, and we can deliver that, but oftentimes they want a lighter weight, simpler way to get the same net effect, so that they don't have to have a whole staff looking after people's mobile phones and stuff like that. All right, so now the fun part. We're going to talk about how to implement Microsoft or security in Microsoft 365 Business. We only have 30 minutes to do this, so we're not going to cover everything I just mentioned, but we wanted to talk about some of the new stuff, the cool stuff, the stuff we think is most important. And so, in general, I see that there's two approaches to addressing security for small and medium businesses. The first is really to address top risks. The fact of the matter is, a lot of businesses out there, even though they may know it's the best practice, complex security framework, I'm not going to encourage them not to do this. However, if someone needs, kind of the easy button approach, we can generally use the configuration wizards and security defaults to get them in a pretty good spot. And this is, this is where most SMBs should probably start if they're not going to go any further. At least get the big stuff turned on, is how I look at it. The second approach is to adopt and implement a security framework. This involves many of the same actions. It's not different actions. However, when someone adopts a security framework, they're generally taking a more organized approach. They're spending more time and thought behind it. They're going to pick a framework. This has a number of advantages. I mean, the obvious one is they're using a framework, so if they don't know what to do, the framework tells them what to do, and there's all that in there. But secondly, many times by implementing a reasonable security framework when they're working with other partners or other customers, they don't have to explain with regard to data security everything they're doing. You can simply tell them, we're using NIST or we're using CIS or something like that, so people have a common understanding of the controls that they're going to be using. And I want to point out something here that's fairly new. Is the Microsoft Data Protection Baseline. Show of hands who's familiar with this? Couple. Okay, it's brand new. Our data protection baseline is basically borrowing from NIST. It borrows from FedRAMP. It borrows from GDPR, and it borrows from ISO 27001. The reason we developed it is many folks are just asking us, Microsoft, what do we need to do? This is a simplified view of a reasonable data protection standard that doesn't tie to a particular framework. So if someone doesn't know what to do, they should look at the data protection baseline. It's really that simple. There's approximately 271 controls or somewhere in there, so it's not super lightweight, but it is far simpler to implement this than, say, a full NIST 853 or something like that. Now, if someone is required to follow another framework, they should do that. And then this also gives folks the ability to, when they're using our tools, if they're at least following the data protection baseline, they'll be set up for other frameworks as well.
Right. So at Success Computer Consulting, like I said, I mentioned that we do have a managed security services offering as well as a traditional managed services offering. And when we were designing that, we would go to these conferences, right, and we would be looking for security partners to use. And every partner out there, anyone who sells security products, I'm sure you guys are familiar with this, right? Have you seen the maturity model, right? They'll have some kind of security maturity model, and every maturity model by every vendor is exactly the same, right? On the far left-hand side, it'll say this isn't very mature, and it'll basically have a bunch of bullet points that are describing their competitor's product or some legacy product that they have, and then the middle column is this is where we want you to be. This is our bread and butter product. This is what we're pushing right now. And then the last column is here's a more premium product. Our premium offering is now you're optimized for security. And that's kind of a bad approach in some ways because you're just kind of buying the Kool-Aid or whatever they're selling you. I mean, even Microsoft has one of these out on their website right now. But we are subscribing to CIS, and that's just one of the control frameworks out there. It happens to be a very simple one that I think is really good for SMBs to start with, especially the first 6 controls, which are the basic security controls. Most SMBs can't even meet that to a very high degree. Now, when we were looking for partners and products that we could use to help our clients meet that to a baseline level, we were quickly discovering, especially this year after some of the announcements came out, some things like conditional access, for instance, Microsoft 365 Business can help us deliver that solution faster and check off more of those boxes with less money than any of those other products that we're looking at. So that's a pretty compelling statement, I think. For example, I'll just take the first control, inventory and control of hardware assets. If I'm doing a security assessment for a small business, I don't care what platform they're on. I don't care if they're traditional or if they're using modern. I'm going to ask them, do you have an inventory of your devices? A lot of times they don't even have that. But assuming they do, then I'll take another step and say, all right, give me logs from your system so that I can see a list of the devices that are actually accessing the system. And most of the time, wherever they pulled their inventory from, whether it's an RMM tool or whatever, and then the logs that show devices that are actually accessing, they don't match, right? So they have blind spots basically, right? The first principle of security is you can't protect what you cannot see. In the NIST framework, it's called identify. That's the first pillar. You have to be able to see it or you cannot protect it. Well, conditional access, now that it's available in Microsoft 365 Business, gives us the ability to enforce device compliance, which means that if it has access, it's in my management tool. So it's a complete list, and I have complete leverage over that device. So I just solved the first control like that. And it also took care of software assets as well, because I have an inventory of those. So it's pretty compelling, and I'm just talking about the first control, okay? As we go through the matrix here, it's really awesome, how much this product can do for us.
So when we talk about what security defaults is, this is a setting that does 4 things for you. And for show of hands, who here has used baseline policies in Azure AD before? All right, and keep your hands raised if you're aware they're going away. All right, so they are going away. However, we've replaced them with security defaults. So just make a mental note, February 2020, baseline policies are supposed to go away. What will they be replaced with is security defaults, which turns on MFA for administrators, turns on MFA for the users, blocks legacy authentication, and protects privileged admin actions. Additionally, security defaults, as the name implies, will start to roll out by default in the future. So as I think most of you know today, M365 doesn't have MFA turned on by default. That's going to change. right?
And also just by today, like just I should add, like if you go and turn on this security defaults feature today, you cannot add conditional access policies that are custom. Likewise, if you go and you create custom conditional access policies, let's say you're requiring device compliance, you're not going to be able to turn on security defaults. You'll go and try to, it'll like bark at you and tell you can't do it.
Yep, good point. Security defaults are...
Again, it kind of goes back to his point where there's kind of two paths you have to choose. You can pick these like security defaults and just kind of, I just need the easy button, give me a good baseline of security, just click, go there. But if you're going to go down the path of trying to implement a control framework, especially if you have like, customers that are in like HIPAA or something like that where they need to be managing their data differently, and you're going to go down a custom route, then you have to do custom policies.
So we're going to do a couple demos for you today. We're not going to do them live because the demo Wi-Fi network is horribly slow, so we spent the last couple hours screenshotting everything we wanted to talk about.
Awesome.
But I wanted to kind of show you guys what to expect with regard to security defaults. So security defaults are part of Azure AD. So you'd open the Azure AD admin portal from your Microsoft admin portal. Notice here on the bottom, there's a little link that says Manage Security Defaults, and we simply turn it on. By turning this on, you get the equivalent of what baseline policies are. Congratulations, you're done with at least identity security. You're not able to configure additional conditional access policies. As soon as you do that, this gets turned off, and you'll actually have to recreate those policies as CA policies, which we'll show you today. So we also have configuration wizards. So identity is probably the most important thing people have to get right in the product. So turning on security defaults or turning on CA is the right thing to do. We need MFA for the admins. We should have MFA for the users. And we need to block legacy authentication because legacy auth basically allows anybody to bypass MFA and the additional security controls we have. In addition to that, we have security configuration wizards that basically make it easy to manage devices and manage the applications on devices. So in this example, I'm showing the device configuration wizard in Microsoft 365 Business. This is unique to this product. We're creating a Windows 10 information protection policy. So I gave the example of the ability to protect someone from, say, opening a document in Word that's protected with Windows information protection and not being able to copy it to a personal app. This is how that's done. We tell it to encrypt work files. We turn on prevent users from copying company data to personal files. We turn on protect traditional network and locations, and we pick the apps that we want to protect. It's pretty straightforward.
And when you're setting these up in here, this is like a simplified wizard to like kind of get you off the ground. These correspond to policies that are in the Intune portal or the device management portal. And that's where you can go do some more customization. We'll show you some of that a little later as well. But be sure as you're setting it up in here, like you're going to have to include like all of these like checkmark boxes, especially that protect additional network and cloud locations. Otherwise, you're going to create havoc for people.
Yeah. Fair point. There's a simplified view of a complex policy. And the purpose is to get folks to get it turned on correctly without having to learn all of Intune right away. So of your device type, in this example, we're using company owned because we want to protect the company information on the devices we own. Turn on encryption. We're turning on the basically MAM for Windows, which prevents us from being able to copy from work to personal. Turning on additional network locations. This switch is important. The policy doesn't work correctly. The simplified policy does not work correctly without this on. In addition to that, for devices the company owns, we can manage them. And I'm pointing this out. There's another simplified wizard. This is really straightforward to understand. We're turning on BitLocker, stuff like that. So the purpose of this wizard is to democratize security and make it simple for businesses to get their Intune device configuration policies up and running off the ground quickly without having to learn everything about Intune. And additionally, we have app management policies for Android and iOS. So again, this just controls the apps on these devices. We're not actually enrolling the devices into full management, but a couple of the important settings that are the most important settings are preventing jailbroken and rooted devices from accessing the system, and again, turning on the app protection within the device so that Word or Outlook mobile on the device will not be able to interact with personal email and personal storage on that device. And yeah, the same thing for iOS. So again, this is our easy button, run the device configuration wizards to get a tenant configured pretty well for security, and we're done. When we look at how to implement a framework, this is another one where folks are often looking where to start. So the best place to start for small and medium businesses is to use our Compliance Manager tool. This is already loaded with the brand new data protection baseline. Now, the data protection baseline is probably 3 years in the work. So you're getting the benefit of tens of thousands of man hours spent figuring out operational controls, but more importantly, like the technical actions required to go fully implement various frameworks like NIST 853, ISO, or our own standard here. And there's basically two things that are generally considered controls and actions. For most of the technical folks, you're probably going to be more interested in the actions. The controls oftentimes involve operational controls and policies that the organization writes about themselves. So to get to Compliance Manager, we'll generally click through the admin portal into compliance. Here I'll be given a compliance score, and it'll kind of give us a rough idea of the compliance controls configured in our tenant. I want to click on assessments. That'll show me which assessments I have loaded. Tenants by default now will be preloaded with the Microsoft Data Protection Standard. If you wanted to include an assessment such as HIPAA or NIST or ISO, you can do that. But by clicking on the Compliance Manager link there, we'll actually link into the actual Compliance Manager. There's Compliance Manager sessions here, so this is not a Compliance Manager session. I just want to kind of highlight where to start and where to go and to get this information, kind of what's in here.
Is anyone using this yet? A couple? Just a couple?
Good. Yeah. So what we don't want to have folks do is have to go read lengthy documents on like the Microsoft Data Protection Standard. It's kind of the traditional approach to compliance and figure it all out for themselves. So in many regards, we're going to tell you what to do. If you notice here, I think I have a laser pointer. If you notice here in my data protection baseline standard, there's Microsoft managed controls and compliance or customer managed controls. So we separate what we do for the customer and what you have to do. In the Microsoft managed controls, if we think of something about access to information, we're responsible for locking the building, requiring biometrics, background checks for our employees. On the customer side, they don't have to worry about physical security, but they'll have to configure logical security, decide who's authorized to access company data, who's authorized to be an admin, that sort of thing. If I click into the baseline itself, I'm listed, I have all my controls here. Each has a relevant score, and the score kind of gives a weight of importance. I wanted to bring your attention to the one with the red circle, and that says not implemented and failed high-end risk, or it's my second control. One of the unique things with this platform is that to the extent we can, we'll automatically check for some controls. For example, if I click into the block, so I mentioned we should block legacy auth in the conditional access policy. This tenant, this is not configured. I can read all about it. And when I click on this one, it's a technical control that should be implemented, part of our baseline. But everything's grayed out. The user doesn't have to go implement this and test this. We can test that for them. It's simply, we can easily go look in Azure AD to see if legacy authentication is on and off. So as soon as the customer configures this particular control, this is satisfied. It's not just satisfied for the Microsoft Data Protection Baseline. It's also satisfied for NIST. It's also satisfied for ISO. It's also satisfied for HIPAA, et cetera. So one of the advantages of using this platform is people can configure a control one time, satisfy a control one time, and actually sort of get credit for any other framework they may be interested or might be interested in the future. So I'll give you an example of a different type of control. So controlling information control flow is a policy. This is an example of where we can't check to see if they're doing this. They have to decide for themselves where information should go. So in this case, I would assign it to a user. Megan Bowen is responsible for this particular control. She would give it an implementation status of when she finished this, and then typically someone would go test to make sure this is actually done and give it a status as well.
Actually, they also have a place for you to upload documentation, right? Because a lot of the controls, some of them are technical, where I just need to flip a bit in the tenant or something, but some of them are more like procedural process or something. So oftentimes you might have a process doc that you have to upload here as well.
And so there's a lot of controls in here. The reason I'm bringing this up is for folks who want to take an organized approach to security, this is the best place to start. We tell you what to do, how to do it, in a way that's not only going to make sense for most security professionals, it's also kind of would make sense for other folks in the industry, even folks who are not Microsoft partners. All right, So I'm going to let Alex talk a little bit about endpoint DLP.
Yeah, so endpoint DLP, or Windows Information Protection, this basically does two things for us. One, it's going to encrypt all of the corporate data on the device in the application, at the application layer, right? So you can apply these policies both to devices that are managed and devices that are not managed. So even an unmanaged device, if it's using app that is being protected, like the Microsoft apps like Outlook, Teams, and so forth, then that device has to respect those policies and those boundaries. It will not be able to move data, without at least tripping an action to log that event, and you can also just block it outright or allow the user to override.
And I want to point out one thing. This is the same policy we created earlier. So the same one we ran the device configuration for. You're viewing that exact same policy in the device management portal.
And so in the in this portal, you would go to apps, app protection policies. This is where you would find app protection policies for Windows and for Android and for iOS, all of those things. And this is just, we're focusing here just on Windows. These work a little bit differently than the iOS and Android. There's a little bit more to them, so we wanted to spend some time going through it. The main thing that you can do here with your policy is define what apps are in and out of the boundary. So technically there are two different types of apps. There are enlightened apps and non-enlightened apps. Enlightened apps understand the difference between data that is corporate and not. So in an Outlook profile, for example, I could have two different accounts linked to the same profile. I could have one that is my work Office 365 account, but I could also add something that's personal, like a Gmail or Outlook.com account or something. And Outlook is going to know the difference between that, and it's going to respect the wall that you put up, and it's not going to allow data to transfer between those locations. But in an outside app, like let's say you have a line of business app for your organization, we see this in healthcare a lot, or it's a web location somewhere, you're going to have to add those applications to this policy if you want to protect them. Now the difference is because they don't know the difference between personal and corporate, they're always going to be treated as corporate data as soon as you add them to protection. Okay, so that means all the data is going to be encrypted, and you won't be able to cross the boundary lines of the personal data. For line of business apps, that's usually fine, but if you have apps like people always want to protect a third-party web browser like Chrome, it's really difficult to do that because if you wrap Chrome in that protection, then everything you interact with through Chrome is now corporate data. So if they're going to personal websites like Gmail or whatever, or G Suite, you've kind of destroyed the purpose there. It's just important to point out. You can also exempt apps, though. So system processes are exempted by default, but if you also had apps that you didn't want this protection to apply to, you could exempt them there. They wouldn't necessarily have to be held to that standard. So here we're just adding an app. There's actually a list of recommended apps that you can just pick from, like for example, Teams. I don't know if you noticed this in the wizard, but when we were in the wizard, Teams is not one of the apps yet for some reason. So it's a good idea to always go and add that app, at least from this location. And then there's a whole bunch of others you can choose from. You can also put your own custom apps in there.
Yep. So in this example, the customer is using Teams for work. They want the data in Teams for protected. They don't want their employees to be able to copy-paste files or text out of Teams and put it somewhere else. Like in my product announcement example, once this is done, if a user is reading a channel in Teams, they will not be able to copy data and send it off to their friend, the reporter, for example. Cool. So I mentioned earlier, we had the easy button for security defaults. If you're not going to use security defaults and you want to know how to set up conditional access, we're going to show you that because baseline is going away. So anyone who's relying on baseline will have to configure these steps. The good news is these are well documented. So if you just click on the documentation for or security defaults, you'll see the documentation to configure these policies. So from my admin center, I'm going to click on Azure Active Directory to get to conditional access. And once I'm in there, I'll click on the security icon in the left-hand nav and click on conditional access. So today's tenants, you'll see this. You'll see baseline policies. I don't recommend you use them because they're literally going away in February. So in this case, I'm going to create a new policy by clicking on it. And my first policy I want to configure is to enable admin MFA. So in this case, I'm going to assign this to my users. I'm going to select the users and groups. In this example, I'm going to pick on my global admins. We highly recommend you exclude a break glass account. We have a whole site on how to configure this, but it is important to configure a break glass account in case you make a mistake. You don't want to create a mistake and lock yourself out of the tenant. It's fairly painful to get access again. You have to call us to help.
Well, and theoretically, just theoretically speaking only, the MFA service might go down.
It never happens.
No, never happened.
So in this case, I am gonna configure this policy for all cloud apps. Right, we're going to grant the access to global admins provided they come with multi-factor authentication on their session. And we'll enable a policy and create it. If you're a little bit unsure of yourself or you want to see what's going to happen, you can always use a report only, which is certainly a good idea for a new policy. So that's it for admin MFA. User MFA is a little bit, it follows much the same line, but if you're going to just lock all users for MFA everywhere, you might as well use security defaults. So in this next example, we're going to turn on MFA for all of our users. In this case, I'm going to configure, I'm going to exclude trusted locations. So it's an example of a custom conditional access policy that's different from security defaults, doing mostly the same thing, except maybe, in my environment, I want to suppress MFA prompts while people are in the corporate office. So
right. This is really important for MFA adoption because we now know it. You guys should all check out the article, Your Password Doesn't Matter, if you're not familiar with that yet. There's a really good Microsoft blog out there that explains why traditional password controls don't make us any safer. In fact, sometimes they do the opposite. So like requiring complexity and things. Those don't really matter, but your MFA does. That's what protects you. Okay, and a lot of times users, we experience this in the SMB, and I'm sure you guys have run into it too. There's a resistance to that change. There's a resistance to having to go through that extra security control, but it's not optional anymore. So when we're converting folks from like a traditional Office 365 subscription into Microsoft 365 Business, or they're just coming from an on-premises solution, we're converting them to Microsoft 365 Business, we don't bring them on unless they're willing to do MFA. It's just they're not our customer. Like move on to the next one, right? Because it's just that risky. They shouldn't be doing it. And there's a lot we can do to make the experience better. We can exclude trusted locations. I think if you forward here, we can actually also exclude trusted devices. So if you are enrolling people's devices for management, you can exclude those as well. If they're using a trusted corporate device or whatever, less prompts. And these kinds of things can help take away some of that pain while still protecting those accounts from anonymous sources, right?
Yep. If someone's using a device that I own that's marked compliant, right, and they're coming from the corporate office, I think you have a fair case that maybe we can, we have a valid case for suppressing MFA. If, if they're using their home computer, in some sketchy location, we probably do want MFA.
Where do you define the trusted?
You define them. So.
Yeah, there's another. So like outside of the conditional access screen, like right at where you first go into conditional access, and you can create new policy. On the left, there's locations, and then you just click on locations. And
we have named locations and trusted locations. So there's, just due to time, we didn't want to put demo screens for every little thing, but there is a screen to configure that.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So in this case, we're going to grant access requiring MFA, enable and turn it on. So now that that's done, we have another requirement to block legacy authentication. This one's, I didn't show all the screen, but we're doing the same thing before. We're selecting our users, selecting all cloud apps. But this one, we're actually going to click into the condition and click into the clients app preview, right? And we're going to select other clients and only other clients, because we're actually going to block them this time. We're not granting access.
And one other additional note here is like if you know for a fact in your environment that everyone is on modern versions of Outlook for mobile and for desktop, you could technically also block Exchange ActiveSync because it is considered legacy at that point. The new modern apps do not rely on it anyway. So you could block that as well. But if you still have some legacy devices out there, people still using older email apps or whatever, you'll probably not want to do that. So.
Right. In this case, we're going to block access. Now, it goes without saying, if you have a particular user like the CIO who just loves Thunderbird or something like that, by all means, you could exclude them from this policy, but I'd still encourage them to, encourage him or her to use MFA or not use Thunderbird and IMAP. So again, we're going to turn it on. So probably the fourth interesting policy, I'll let Alex talk about this one, is you may also want to protect or have a conditional access policy based on device compliance.
Right, and so, technically to enforce this control, you would also want to make sure you set up compliance policies in Intune first. So you would want to have one compliance policy for every one of the operating systems. And once you have that, you can make them really basic to start out, like something really simple like require a PIN or whatever. And then when you would go in here, you would do the same thing. You would target all your users, exclude your emergency access accounts. You can target all cloud apps, or you can target specific apps to start. A lot of people just want to start out by protecting Exchange Online, right? Or SharePoint, which includes OneDrive. That would be fine too, but if you do choose all cloud apps, one thing I want to draw to your attention is that you'll probably want some apps excluded from this requirement, namely the Microsoft Intune enrollment. If you don't do that, then you won't be able to enroll your devices because it thinks that it needs to be compliant in order to authenticate you to the Intune enrollment service, but it's not compliant yet, so you get in this weird like infinite loop that doesn't. So don't lock yourself out, and make sure to include that. All right, and then under client apps, I'm actually going to be a little bit careful about how I choose and what conditions I'm targeting here. For client applications, I may not want to require device compliance in every situation, for example, with web browsers, right? Because maybe I'd like to enable my users to be able to get into a web application like Outlook Web Access or whatever and still access their work email from like a home device. But if that is a modern client, like a mobile app or desktop client that can actually sync data down to that device, like Outlook has an OST file, right? The OneDrive client stores data on the device locally. That corporate data is something that I'm interested in protecting to a greater extent, so I may require that's what I want to target, because if that device walks away or that device gets compromised, I need to know that I have controls to wipe it, I need to know that I have controls to have my agents on it protected, all that. And then we're going to grant access, but just require the device to be marked as compliant. And that's the control that will basically refer any device to the Intune portal to make sure that they're meeting that device compliance policy before it lets you in.
An important point, if you haven't used Intune before, by default, all devices are compliant. So that we're not going to show it here today, but to make this work effectively, you need to go in there and make some decisions on what is a compliant device for you. Could be as simple as a PIN with BitLocker, or it could be much more complex, whatever really makes sense for your organization. So I wanted to bring just to everyone's attention a couple things before we close. One is, we have compliance score now. I showed you a precursor to this for Compliance Manager. This helps give you a better understanding of how where you are with regards to compliance and data protection controls. And in addition, we've rebooted SecureScore to include more stuff. So I'm hoping everyone here is familiar with SecureScore, knows what it is. It's not a SecureScore session. But in the past, folks had to figure out, like what in SecureScore is the most important. We're making that easier with the data protection baseline. Something that I work with a lot of partners, and where I've seen partners really succeed with SecureScore is grabbing a couple items off the list once a period. That could be monthly, it could be quarterly, or something like that. Putting together a roadmap with their customer and picking, a couple things to go accomplish. So if a customer is just getting started, the obvious things are going to be conditional access policies, MFA, security defaults, stuff like that. A lot of times the organizations can't absorb a ton of change all at once, so usually that will be enough for one period. But once that's done, they're going to want to go in and figure out what else should we do. We might want to block email forwarding or configure auditing, alerting, things like that. So SecureScore is a great way for folks to kind of get organized and figure out what to do next. We give all the information of how to do things right in SecureScore. And for those partners in the room, it's a great way to show incremental progress towards security. You can go back to your customer, or you can go back to your boss and say, hey, look what I've done for you lately. Look what we see continuous improvement. And it's worth pointing out that you can grab SecureScore, the controls, the details, the score itself. They're through the UI here, but if you have partners in the room, it's entirely possible to do this against the graph and have a simple little script that pulls SecureScore on a regular basis or pulls it for all your customers or something like that. So before we close today, I want to point out some kind of cool new things. One is we have a brand new CSO, your new CSO website. Who has seen this already? I think it's hilarious. If you haven't, do yourself a favor and hit that website before you leave the conference this week. It is really, really good. We've rebooted Compliance Manager, SecureScore. But beyond that, we have an SMB tech community. So if folks in this room have deep technical questions, you want to know how to do some of the things we talked about today, or you'd like some help from us, hit us up on this SMB TC. I answer questions there. Product group answers questions there. Product marketing will help out. In addition, we have the SMB design community, which is brand new. So if you want to have a say in how we take Microsoft 365 business going forward, that's the community for that. In fact, the owners are here. We've got Fred Pullen in the room from our engineering group, and I believe we have Natalie Irvine, who's the general manager for SMB Engineering, in here as well. So these folks can help you, or you can help influence the product through them. And then both Alex and I are reachable directly. If you have any questions on today's sessions, want to talk about something more, get more information, feel free to shoot us an email and we'll help you out.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.